Robert Karanja's speech title is Gerald Ford. Gerald Ford, Robert Karanja.
One of the 5 men arrested early Saturday while trying to bag the Democrats' National Committee's headquarters was a salaried security coordinator for the Nixon re-election committee. This was the first sentence in an article published by the Washington Post in June 1972. Later that year, in October, the Washington Post published another article that said the FBI had found evidence that the break-in at the Watergate was part of a massive campaign to help Nixon get re-elected. This was the beginning of the Watergate scandal. Gerald Ford, a retired lieutenant commander from the Navy and a politician at that point, would play a significant role in this saga. After 25 years in politics, Gerald Ford had decided that he would like to retire in the next couple of years. He would like to retire to the very warm and humid summers, cold and snowy winters, short and mild springs and autumns of Grand Rapids, Michigan. However, his final days in politics will be anything but uneventful. His final days in politics started on October 1973. On this date, Richard Nixon appointed him as the 40th Vice President of the United States. 9 months after this appointment, Richard Nixon resigned and Gerald Ford became the 38th President of the United States. Under normal circumstances, Ford would have been elated by his meteoric rise in politics. However, those were not normal circumstances. As he said in the speech while taking the oath of office, is recorded by the White House historians. He said, "I assumed the presidency under extraordinary circumstances. This is an hour of history that troubles our minds and hurts our hearts." Ford was troubled by the treatment that Nixon was getting. You see, the Democrats and the press were baying for blood. They were like shivers of sharks that were in a feeding frenzy. And even Richard Nixon's resignation could not satiate them. Gerald Ford believed that Richard Nixon could not receive a fair trial in the United States at that point in time. To use a present-day example, it is like hoping that Donald Trump would receive a fair trial in the United States or anywhere in the world. He is a lightning rod that attracts hatred. While observing all of this, Ford realized that as President of the United States and as the most powerful man on the planet, he was the only one who had the ability to intervene on behalf of Richard Nixon. And intervene he did. In September 1973, Gerald Ford went on national television. This was exactly 1 month after he had been appointed as president of the country. And in front of the nation, he gave Richard Nixon an unconditional pardon for any crimes that he might have committed while president of the country. What this meant was that nobody could pursue Richard Nixon any further concerning the Watergate scandal. The reaction from the press, Congress, and the general public was largely negative. And people believe till this day that this decision to pardon Richard Nixon was what led to him not being re-elected in the following presidential election. Therefore, as Gerald Ford brought an end to the Watergate saga, he brought his own political career to an end. Decades later, the John F. Kennedy Foundation presented the 2001 Profile in Courage Award to Gerald Ford. While presenting this award, the foundation said that in his decision to pardon Nixon, Gerald Ford had placed the love of his country above his own political future, and in the process had brought the divisive Watergate saga to an end. In his acceptance speech that is recorded in the JFK Library, Gerald Ford said that none of this just happened. It happened because people of conscience refused to be passive in the face of injustice and refused to be indifferent to the demands of democracy. Toastmasters and guests, right now in your career, or maybe as you advance in your careers, you're going to get to the point of power where you can affect the lives of others. It could be one person, or it could be as many as a whole nation. When you get to this point, would you have the courage to do the right thing, regardless of the sacrifice that you might need to make? Over to you, Madam Toastmaster.